5. So Jimmy invited him back this November. And there's the high five. Here's the second one. And the mugging for the camera that comes along with it. So 2 Tonight Show guests locking horns from here in Rogers Center.
And for Joe Biagini, that catapulted him from a guy who appeared in 60 games all out of the bullpen last year to a situation where they had a couple of injuries. He became a starter. Now it's going to be tough to pull him out of that starting rotation.
The Tonight Show appearance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He owes it all to that.
Here's a Sox lineup for you. It includes a late scratch of Leury Garcia. We'll hear more about that from Dan Hayes in the second inning. So Alan Hansen's in center. Then Cabrera, Abreu, Garcia. Avi on an 8-game hit streak. Frazier, Davidson, we told you about. Anderson, Narvaez, and Sanchez, your starting 9.
Let's take a look at the defense and how John Gibbons is going to line up his Blue Jays behind Joe Biagini. Steve Pearce just activated off the disabled list in left. That is Kevin Pillar and Jose Bautista in the outfield. Josh Donaldson, Troy Tulowitzki with a couple of Gold Gloves, Darwin Barney with 1 as a Cub, and Justin Smoke, the red-hot hitter at first base with Russell Martin, also a Gold Glove winner behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is 6'5", 240-pound Joe Biagini. It's 1-5 this year. Combination between the bullpen and the starting rotation. His ERA very good at 3.38. He's a sinker baller, so he's not going to strike out that many guys, although 48 and 56 innings is good. But when he's right, he throws a lot of ground balls. The umpires for the game tonight. Mike Muchlinski has the plate. The crew chief, Mike Winters, at first. Mark Wegner is at second. And Ryan Additon is at third base. And so, with the roof open, it becomes a much livelier ballpark here. And they just played on the artificial surface in Tampa Bay. Now, it's a different type of surface than it is here, so the fielders have to get used to it, especially the guys in the outfield who play on that surface exclusively. So beautiful night for baseball. It was absolutely a gorgeous day today. A lot of people in the seats as the Blue Jays for the 7th time trying to get to 500. 6 other times they were turned away in this pivotal game. We'll see if Jose Quintana, who's done it well in this ballpark, can do it again. So they've thrown the ball around the infield. Everybody is ready to go, as are we. And it's time for me to turn it over to Jason Benetti to kick it off tonight.
Thank you, Steve, and congratulations to you, by the way. In the Tribune today, they ranked the analysts who have come through Chicago and done games for at least 5 years for any team, and you were #1, and you deserve it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for mentioning it. I personally love Eddie Olczyk. I think he's wonderful, and all the names on there were great broadcasters.
First pitch to Alan Hansen is ball #1, and we are underway from Rogers Center in Toronto. Joe Biagini, who's thrown a lot more changeups this year into the starting rotation, adding a pitch to his repertoire that he throws quite a bit more than he used to. He's behind Hansen 2-0.
When he's feeling good, he'll throw a slow hook for strike 1, but his sinker is his bread and butter pitch. That's a pitch that will make him or break him here tonight.
There's strike 1 to Hansen, who is in center field for just the 2nd time in his career. The good news is the first time he was in center field was June of last year in AAA with Indianapolis, and his team scored 4 runs in the first inning that day. Do with that what you will. Big chopper, second base. Darwin Barney to first, save. Hansen beat it out.
Well, you've got to wait for gravity, because that was a high chopper in the infield, which is what Biagini is going to do because of that sinker, and Barney had to wait for it to come down. In the meantime, Hansen sniffing a base hit all the way. I mean, he gets down there in a hurry and he beats the play at first base. That's the situation for Darwin Barney, where he doesn't really know the speed of Hansen. He certainly knows it now. Good call by Mike Winters. He was on the bag before the ball got there.
So Alan Hansen, who's in his 2nd start as a Sox player, just off his first home run as a White Sox. That came during the homestand as a pinch hitter. He is on to start the game.
And this is an opportunity for him that he probably didn't think he was going to get, and that is coming to a new ball club and getting a chance to play almost immediately. And so far, looks like he's got some skills.
Hansen, formerly of Pittsburgh, now Melky Cabrera, formerly of here. He spent 2 years with the Blue Jays right before his stint with the Sox, and Biagini is behind again.
Donaldson is back and healthy. Had a calf problem that plagued him for a while. Pierce also injured, but now back in the lineup.
Now, this may not be the right time to play the Blue Jays this year.
Well, they're starting to get healthy, and normally when that happens, the team starts playing very well.
Though they are without Devin Travis, who is still dealing with a knee injury, that surgically repaired knee.
Yeah, sad part about it for Travis, because he's a good young player, and when he's been healthy, he's shown that he can really do it. Came over from the Tigers, and he was going to be their #1 shortstop for seemingly a long time. Now he's got to rehab again.
Hansen's off. Throw to second is not in time. Sox steal one against the battery of Biagini and Martin.
That's one of the things that with Russell Martin behind the plate, they're going to give you. He's not throwing the ball very well these days, and so this is a straight steal. Melky just looking at it, that allows Alan Hansen to just go to the bag. Don't look back for contact. And he's in scoring position early in this one.
Stolen base number 26 for the Sox. That's 24th in Major League Baseball, but it's not for lack of want from the manager.
No, Ricky's going to send the guys he believes have a chance to steal. He's going to send them every time. And this combination of Biagini, who is a big man, and because he throws sinkers, he'll throw a lot of pitches down, not really conducive to throwing out base stealers, and that one was stolen easily.
Two and 0 on Melky, who's got the average up to 276 with a hot week and a half. He takes ball number 3.
Melky looking down at Nick Capper to see if he's got the 3-0 green light. He's got to pull the ball in this situation. Move along, Hansen.
Ball 4. 2 on and nobody out. As we take a look at tonight's picks to click, you can vote online at whitesox.com/pick to click. Cruz got the lead and going with Yolmer today. Steve with Melky charging back to tie. And I've got Tim Anderson. Fans go with Todd Frazier.
And I'm just saying that was a huge walk to Melky. I mean, that sets up a big inning. I would say in your evaluation and the scoring, you should take that into consideration.
You should lose already for the lobbying early. 3 batters in. Check the rule book. Yep, it's in there. Here's Abreu. And he takes ball number 1 from Biagini.
I talked to Jose before the game. He does not wear a pad on the lead elbow, in this case his left elbow, and I asked him why. He said it's just not comfortable. He said the same reason why he doesn't use the shin guard on his left leg. He said he just can't feel comfortable doing it. So far he hasn't had to pay the price for it, and hopefully we won't see it.
Biagini has come close but not hit the strike zone very much at all. In fact, the only 2 strikes he's thrown have been 1 to Hansen and then the ball in play.
You would think that Pete Walker would be primed and ready to come out and pay a visit. Although with a sinker baller, he can get himself out of trouble with 1 pitch if he can induce a ground ball.
Hansen draws his attention for the moment. Allen working on the cleats or his river dance routine.
Got to be pretty careful because Barney is right there. It's a good time for a pickoff play.
Low 3-0. Now you talked about the 3-0 green light. It looks like Biagini is going to do himself in, force him to throw a strike. You think?
I think he's usually got the 3-0 green light. I personally would like to see him take one, but this might be the best pitch in the sequence. So if Jose likes it, they're probably not going to stop him from swinging.
He does swing and hit it well to right field. Bautista going back at the warning track, and this ball clangs off the wall for Abreu. Hansen's around third. Melky's around third. Abreu going to third. 2 are in, and the Sox lead 2-0 before the first out tonight.
He did indeed like the 3-0 pitch and took it off the wall. Bautista went back, but he got trapped too close to the wall, and as the ball bounded by him, everybody off to the races. 39 driven in for Jose, and that's a low fastball. Taking it the opposite way at the very least, he would have moved up Hansen to third. It's a lot better than that, as Biagini now gets a visit to the mound. It may be a pitch too late. Off the wall and bounds away from Bautista. A wonderful way to start. And Biagini in a jam, so Walker now going back after a short visit, but it's already been very costly, especially when your mound opponent has a .68 lifetime ERA in the ballpark you happen to be playing in, and that's what Q has in this park.
He's take to already a 2-0 lead, and now Avi with the infield back in the middle off Abreu's 8th career triple. That's a free run, you'd imagine, with a ground ball to short or second.
That's probably what Walker told the combination of Biagini and Russell Martin was, don't forget about your curveball, because he had missed with every sinker he threw. So now he starts off with a curveball. It wasn't a good one. It kind of hung up in the zone. There's a look at their pitching coach, who made that early trip to the mound, something he certainly didn't want to do with no outs in the first inning.
Avi chases 0-2. Avisail Garcia right now is 4th in Major League Baseball in batting average, behind Ryan Zimmerman, Buster Posey, and Daniel Murphy.
And with 48 driven in, you'd love to see him get to at least 60 and maybe a bit beyond before that All-Star break.
And the dirt. Martin is there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Good pick by Russell Martin. He is Canadian by birth. That was one of the considerations, bringing him back. He's been a good defender for quite some time. Started his career with the Dodgers. Was a solid player for them.
One and two. On the ground left side. This won't get the job done as Donaldson throws out Garcia, 1 away.
That was a sinker in on his hands, and he hit it to the only man in the infield where he could hit a ground ball, except for the pitcher, of course, who could hit a ground ball and not score the run.
Biagini got inside. Avi looking at his hand, and now you'd imagine the Jays might think about bringing the infield in.
That's exactly where they are. One thing you have to be careful on when you play on an artificial surface is the spin coming from the artificial surface to the dirt.
Frazier in the air, right field side. Bautista charging, Abreu tagging. The throw coming home is not in time, and it's 3-0 Sox.
Sacrifice fly, good execution. Jose beats a throw that was off the mark. And for Bautista, he caught that ball on the left side of his body before having to come all the way back to the right side to make the throw. When you have this much time to set up, when you don't set up properly, it's usually going to cost you a step and a half, and that's all it took. So you see him catch the ball on the extreme left side of his body, having to come all the way across, and the throw is up the line. 3-0.
This is the opposite of the start that we saw the Sox get in Game 1 in Toronto last year, when they had to surge back as Matt Davidson takes a curveball for ball 1.
We know tonight with the roof open, it's going to be a much livelier park. So yes, it's wonderful you scored 3 early, but this Toronto team with some guys who can really swing it, and there's a long way to go in this one.
2-0 on Davidson, who has a home run in 4 straight games, as we told you in the open, trying to get to number 5 and tie the White Sox team record.
It's a great park for him to do it. It flies all 3 fields.
Davidson rips this ball down the line. That's a fair ball kicking into the corner. And Matt Davidson's on his way to second base.
He hit that ball on the screws. And the fortunate part, as Ryan Addington went out to call it, it was a fair ball, and on the shift, because there might have been a play at third, Mike Muchlinski has to go and become the third base umpire. So this one hammered down the line. Addington went out to take a look at it. Muchlinski goes to third base. There you see the call, and a very happy 2-base hit.
Well, if you're John Gibbons in his second stint as the manager of the Blue Jays, this is not exactly how getting back to 500 is supposed to look.
And when John Gibbons, who a lot of people thought maybe this would be his last year, they put that to rest in spring training. He got a 2-year extension. And when you start out 2-11, that 2-year extension looks pretty good.
Quick drying ink is good news. Anderson on the ground. Biagini off the mound. Fading away is high. And down the line it goes. Davidson comes home. That ball is touched by a fan. Anderson is into second base, and it's 4-0 Sox.
I'd like to see him get a base hit E1, because it's a tough ball for Biagini to handle. He's got to really hurry, knowing that Anderson can go down the line, and he just threw it into right field. It's an off-balance throw, and because of that, he just airmails smoke. Well, the end result, one way or the other, it's a 4-0 game.
I think Ricky Renteria is asking why Anderson is not at third.
Yes, exactly right. He's saying, look, it is a base hit, E1. That's good.
Eighth batter of the inning is Omar Narvaez. Believe that the Sox should start Alan Hansen in center field more. If every game he plays in his career, his team gets 4 runs in the first inning when he plays in center.
But even if they have to settle for 3, I think it's probably a good plan.
There's ball number 1.
Now, normally the starting pitcher, who is sitting in the dugout wondering when his turn is going to come, he's saying at this point, keep going, boys, and get me as many as you can. Don't worry, I'll take a few extra pitches.
1-0. Is a called strike. A rare called strike in the inning for Joe Biagini, whose season was coasting along very smoothly until this inning. He pitched well as a starter for Toronto. Former Rule 5 draft pick of the Blue Jays. Omar checked his swing and went around. 1-2.
The pen is up and going. Dominic Leone. Last thing in the world John Gibbons wants to do is have to cover 24, 25 outs, whatever it is.
Doesn't sound like a great time after an off day yesterday. Ball and 2 strikes on Narvaez. Second base, Barney. And that does it. But the Sox have stormed into Ontario with a 4-run first for Jose Quintana. For the Blue Jays, Kevin Pillar leads it off. Then Donaldson in the 2 spot. Last 7 games, he's been tremendous. Bautista is not having his typical season. Then Morales, Smoke, Tulowitzki, Martin Pierce just off the DL, and Darwin Barney batting 9.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they'll line up behind Jose Quintana. Elkie Cabrera, Alan Hansen, Avisail Garcia. The infield of Frazier, Anderson, Sanchez, and Abreu, with Omar Narvaez getting the nod behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Jose Quintana, looking for win number 3. His ERA a bit higher than certainly he would like, but 74 strikeouts and 74 2/3. He's got a big lead going in, and he's got a good solid ball club to face. Team with power up and down this lineup.
90 home runs, top 10 in Major League Baseball for the Blue Jays. We told you yesterday that John Gibbons had said, look, we need to start scoring runs some other way, but he'll take it however the Jays can get it after a start of 9-19 this year.
Well, there's a couple of teams, and Baltimore is one of them. When they hit home runs, they're very tough. If they don't hit home runs, they usually finish second.
In the game, you're saying?
In the game, yes.
The silver medal is not one you want to get. Ball and a strike on Kevin Pillar, who's just 2 for his last 18. Kevin Pillar is the youngest player in the starting lineup for the Blue Jays. He's 28 years old. He's the only player of the 9 to not clear 30. There's strike 3. Quintana goes upstairs for strikeout number 1.
When Jose is good, that's where he'll go to get his strikeouts. Up and out of the zone, as he did with Pillar. See, Omar wants it up there. Gets it up there, and either lay off that pitch or you're going to strike out. Your best bolt is a little pop-up, normally a foul ball, and that's a good sign for Jose.
1 down for Donaldson, who missed a good chunk of the beginning part of the season with a calf injury.
One of the things that the infield probably knows, they were probably told, he's not running as hard as he normally would because he's concerned about the calf. So on a routine ground ball, you've got some time. However, if he senses there's a base hit, he can still turn it on.
And that sounds like, the way it comes off your lips, an indictment of Donaldson, but it's not actually.
No, because he's of no value to this team sitting on the bench or on the DL. He realizes that when you look at those numbers against Quintana, this is a guy that is critical to the health and well-being of the Blue Jays. So when he is healthy and they have to keep him that way, this is a good solid ball club. But they still miss last year's Edwin Encarnacion.
There's a strike at the knees from Quintana, 2-2. And Edwin, up until the last couple of weeks, may have missed it here as well.
I think one of the things about Edwin going there, first time he's consistently played outside the first couple months of the season. And so he was experienced what a lot of people experience that are not used to cold weather consistently. It's difficult to hit. And he didn't see it here because they just closed the roof, and
72 and sunny.
Wonderful playing conditions.
3-2 from Quintana. And that is through. Base hit for Donaldson.
Donaldson, who was with the Cub organization, and at the time he was a catcher. Takes that ball up the middle for a base hit. Oakland had a problem. They had nobody to play third base, and they had Donaldson at the time, so Bob Melvin asked him if he could do it. He said, I don't know, I guess. Well, it worked out pretty well for Donaldson.
Here's Jose Bautista. He takes a breaking ball low, 1-0, and you talk about transformations. What he did in the early 2010s with a 54 homers in 2010, 43 the year after. Since he came to Toronto, he's really turned on the power from where he was in Pittsburgh.
last few years, there is no doubt that Bautista just has suffered physically. When he's healthy, he can still put a charge into it. He's got a very lively bat.
11 homers this year, 65 games. This to third. Frazier starts it. Sanchez turns it. 5-4 to 3, and the inning's over. CSN insider Dan Hayes and popcorn aficionado as well. He joins us next. Chicago is presented by State Farm, and the Sox have a 4-0 lead over the Blue Jays. We're joined by Dan Hayes, our CSN insider. Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Sox lineup changed late here in Toronto, and normally that's Kevin Smith. This was the place where he had the injury last year. It was Leury Garcia today. What happened?
Well, Leury Garcia had taken those 3 days off. He was the late entry yesterday because of Avi's ejection, and he swung and he felt it today. He felt some swelling in his fingers again. And so they basically are going to rest him for a few days here and check it out. He said it mostly affects him when he's hitting, but he was playing catch and he could feel it pretty well and decided, you know, that was the combination of the two. Rick Rennery has said we're going to sit him out. Gives them a chance to look at Alan Hansen in center field, which they were really interested in doing. They want to see what he can provide for them as far as flexibility, and so they're going to test it out and let this kind of settle down with Leury.
As for Matt Davidson and his streak of 4 consecutive games with a home run, he's been doing something a little bit different preparation-wise. Is that right?
Right, yeah. Todd Frazier actually called this because Davidson followed his practice. Frazier in Detroit about 2 weeks ago basically started going to the bullpen during pitchers' sessions and standing in, not swinging, but just tracking pitches. And obviously, this is what hitters do the first 4 days of spring every year. They stand in, they just watch pitches. Frazier had some success with it, so Davidson followed him last weekend in Cleveland, and basically Frazier said, hey, he's going to get hot, and all of a sudden here he is doing what he's doing.
Another infield single for the Sox. Sanchez beats out Barney's throw, and a leadoff base hit just like Hansen had.
And Davidson said, look, this isn't all that it is. Obviously, he's seeing the ball better right now. Prior to this stretch, he went over 13 with 9 strikeouts. So he wanted to improve that. But what he said that's been more important for him is being relaxed through every plate appearance. And we talked about Aaron Judge a little bit today, and he said the thing that I love about Aaron Judge is how consistent he is on a day-to-day basis as he's trying to figure out life in the major leagues. And Davidson said he's doing the same thing. And it's really hard to be that consistent and do what you want to do every day. And he's trying to emulate that.
Well, hopefully he can have close to the success Aaron Judge has had, because they still talk about his batting practices in this ballpark. But it's a pretty good thing to stand in and look at pitchers throwing the baseball to get an idea about the strike zone. So when did Todd Frazier start that, if he told you?
Frazier started on Detroit 2 weeks ago, but before that he had been doing it in Cincinnati. He said he had gotten away from it the last couple of years. Days had gone longer, and he knew that he needed to get back to it, and we've seen the uptick in his numbers in June. He attributes it a lot to this think a little bit of it is some fun in the bullpen too. The pitchers are loving this. I know you were talking about that. The competitive part of this is a big part for these guys too.
Well, I always would insist on having a hitter down there because you have better sight lines when somebody's standing in the box.
Hansen rips it to left field. Donaldson couldn't find it, and Sanchez to second base. So 2 on, nobody out. Dan Hayes, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
That's our CSN insider Dan Hayes popping in to report on all things Frazier, Davidson, and Garcia.
You know, we will explain to Dan, and you know, as a White Sox insider, he is just loaded with information.
Yeah.
What we do have to teach him is the difference between the talkback and the cough button. One is red, one is white.
Yeah.
And I think when he gets that down, he's going to be wonderful. It's a question of experience, that's all.
Well, the good news is that everybody in the production truck heard every bit of Dan putting his headset down on the way out of here. Melky Cabrera, a drive to right field. Bautista is back at the warning track, and that ball goes clanging around in right center field. Sanchez is home, Hansen is too, and Melky Cabrera has a 2-run double. And a hug for Sanchez and Hansen. 6-0 to Melky's applause.
Melky's now driven in 37, and the last 2 balls have been scalded. Biagini struggling. That's a hook, and Melky stayed with it. There wasn't any late break. That was a roller, and Biagini doesn't have it. He's getting hammered. He's also catching some bad breaks with some infield hits, but this one rolls around. Hansen scores easily. So as a late addition to the lineup, you can hardly do any better than 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored.
How about Yolmer? Hansen's running right at him. He figures, you know what, either I can tell him to stop or I'll just give him a big old hug. And he did. And John Gibbons, the 12th manager in Blue Jay history, is not enjoying this start. Abreu tags it. Right center field. Pilar won't have a play. High off the top of the wall. And Jose Abreu has a double and a triple and a 7-0 lead.
Jose's now driven in 40, and John Gibbons is taking a look at the lineup card. He knows he has to go get Biagini or this game might never end. So he does go and get him. This is a sinker down, and Jose crushes it into the gap. So he's halfway to the cycle. And that will be it for Joe Biagini, who went out there with nothing, and the Sox made him pay the price. So as he walks out, we will too. We'll be back.
Thursday, June 29th, as the Sox take on the Yankees. 7:10 p.m. First 1,000 fans to purchase this specially priced ticket have the chance to participate in early BP and get an exclusive Jose Abreu superhero bobblehead. Visit whitesox.com/super before these tickets are, yes, indeed, up and away.
Our Hyundai call to the pen is Dominic Leone. He's coming into this a little earlier than he probably was anticipating. On for the 25th time. He's 1-0 his ERA, a little above 3.5. Numbers have been good. 31 strikeouts and 27 2/3. He learned the cutter by watching Mariano Rivera on YouTube, and there's a very disappointed Joe Biagini, who went out with very little and came back with a much higher earned run average.
It was 338 before today happened for Biagini. It is now over 4. Avi Garcia with Abreu at second takes ball 1.
So there will be 24 outs to cover for the bullpen, something that John Gibbons certainly didn't want to do in this one.
That positions the Sox very well for the next 2 days of the series. You help yourself out for the remainder of the 3. Called high, 2-0.
Pretty good pitch. He didn't get the call. This had the whole plate a little above belt high, and Mike Muchlinski says nope, not good enough. Avi will gladly take the 2-0 pitch, as Russell Martin looking up at Avi's hands to see if he changed positions. Catcher's going to look at one of two things. They're going to look at the hitter's feet, and they're going to look at their hands. They want to see if he got a little closer to the plate or a little further away, or see if he did anything with his hands to maybe look like he might be anticipating something. But Avi's got the same spot in the batter's box, and his hands stay the same.
2-0. Outside, 3-0. When the life raft has a small leak, it does not bode well for the passengers. And in this case, 3 straight balls out of the zone for Leone after Biagini struggled was not exactly what John Gibbons wanted.
So they don't have any off days until after that Kansas City series ends, and that's after Texas. That's why he wanted a deep performance by Biagini, the man you're looking at, because after these 3, they will board their charter, go to Texas, facing the Rangers in Arlington with a bullpen that's not 100%. That's not an enviable situation.
Abreu at second, 3-1 on Avi Garcia. And that is ball 4, 2 on, still nobody out. This is the 14th batter of the game. There have been 3 outs for the Sox. Todd Frazier, a sac fly in the first. That scored Abreu. It gave the Sox then a 3-0 lead. That has since expanded. Frazier in the air, left field, and there is out number 1. Throw to second is high, and Abreu's back.
Well, fortunately, that wasn't on the button. Jose didn't read it at all and started to take off. Pierce was going to make the play, but by rushing his throw, he threw it high and wide of the bag. So what would have been a double play turns into just the first out of the inning. Pierce comes on, first game back off the disabled list, and tries to make the throw quickly. It's not even in the neighborhood. Barney does, however, come down with the baseball, but not the bag.
Pierce, who's played infield as well, thinking it over. Now Matt Davidson, who singed a double down the line his first time. and takes ball one. Most of the night so far, the Sox batters have either taken ball one or put the pitch in play.
Leone having some trouble with that cutter, which he feels is as good a pitch as he has, but he can't find any command on the outside part of the plate.
%43% of the time he goes cutter, 44% fastball. 2-1. Reached back for the four-seam fastball and got a strike.
He's got a good fastball. That was 95.
Third team for Leone in the big leagues. Mariners, Diamondbacks, and now the Blue Jays. Same spot.
There's only one guy in the ball club that's ever seen Leone, and that man is standing on second base, Jose Abreu. 3 at bats. That's the only guy that knows up close and personal how Dominic Leone throws.
2-2. Up high again for strike 3.
Martin called the fastball up. He got a fastball up. Matt swung through it.
Batter number 8 of the second inning for the Sox, Tim Anderson. Fouled it away, 0-1. Tim had the single to Biagini on the mound. Blue Jays starter came off the mound third base side and threw a ball to first that was well high and allowed Davidson to come around and score. Strike 2 from Leone, who has stabilized this whole thing for the Blue Jays.
With Pilar as the youngest player on this team, which you pointed out, there's going to be a little revamping of this Toronto team. Former Indians executive Mark Shapiro is the president and CEO.
Slider for strike 3, and Anderson wiped away. So back-to-back strikeouts for Leone, but the beginning was the difficult part caused by the Sox. Sanchez with the infield single, Hansen a base hit to left, and Melky kept the hit parade going. Embraceable you, Alan Hansen.
take their winning ways to New England to take on the Revolution. Coverage begins tomorrow night at 6 with Chicago Fire pregame live.
And we'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on Mahaska Communications in Oskaloosa, Iowa. Is that a Fire fan?
It's a Fire hat fan.
I think actually if you wear that hat, you're not a Fire fan. You put them out. Anti-Fire.
Probably a good plan.
Here's Morales. That ball's hit wall center field. Hansen is back, and he can only watch it fly. Toronto's on the board.
Home run number 14. And run batted in number 39. With a man that they decided would give them enough offense in the middle of their lineup where they could go away from Edwin Encarnacion. So a Ford home run replay. It's a fastball down, and Kendrys Morales, with big power from both sides of the plate, takes it out over the 400-foot sign in straightaway center field.
But here's Justin Smoke, who takes a breaking ball for a strike. Smoke, who's been striking out less and less this year, takes down low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
But this is the natural side for Justin Smoke. And with Edwin Encarnacion here, he didn't get a chance to swing right-handed too often.
Well, Jose Quintana just gave up that home run to Morales, and it was a fastball middle away. And you see this season righties, the slugging percentage against Quintana, the red there is outside to right-handers on the outside corner, and that's again where he was hurt.
Yeah, whether it's up, down, or in the middle, away, the strong right-hand hitters hurting Jose this year.
What do you think has changed? We've talked some about fastball command. Do you think that's what it is?
I think what's happened is, I think because Jose is known to cut the ball into the right-hand hitters, they've been laying off that pitch a lot and then looking for the ball middle away.
Called strike 3 on Smoke, so he does come inside there, and 1 down in the 2nd inning. Here's the home run that Morales hit, Steve.
This is a fastball, and it is on the outer third of the plate. So normally that pitch knee high you would think would stay in the ballpark. It just didn't, and Jose, who's had some problems this year keeping the ball in the ballpark, saw that one go out of the yard.
This is the type of game where he might, even just because he's ahead so much, give up a couple of extra runs because he's going to be a significant strike thrower. Yeah.
Well, he normally is. He normally is a strike thrower.
But even more, I mean, you're up 7-0.
Right. He's certainly want to make sure that he doesn't walk anybody, and against a team with the power that the Blue Jays have, any walks in this ballpark tonight, because the roof is open and the park is livelier, any walks will come back to haunt you.
Two strikes to Tulowitzki, who went up for the high fastball and fouled it off.
Tulowitzki, originally with Colorado, came here, and when he got here, he didn't make an error for the rest of the season, and he stayed healthy. That's been the biggest problem with Troy over the course of his career, is he gets banged up a lot. He's already missed some games, but if they can keep him healthy on the field, he normally is a very good player.
Off the plate, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Jose Reyes trade, really the Tulowitzki trade, but Tulowitzki and LaTroy Hawkins came here. Jose Reyes to Colorado among 4 players.
Troy just playing in his 33rd game of the year. Contrast Jose Bautista, who's played in 65 of them coming into tonight.
2-2 from Jose. Check swing on a fastball low, and he did not go, says Mike Winters at first. Toronto off a split of 2 with Tampa Bay. Off day yesterday. Awaiting the arrival of the Sox, who have not been the best company so far.
San Jose threw a fastball up. And Tulowitzki was able to fight it off with Russell Martin in the on-deck circle.
Certainly Tulowitzki's dealt with injuries the last couple of years, including this season, but average of 239, 254, 226 from 2015 till now. That ball's a rocket on the ground, but Frazier collects it well for out number 2. Join us at Guaranteed Rate Field as the Sox take on the Oakland A's Sunday, June 25th. It is Southpaw's birthday, and the first 7,500 kids get a Southpaw bobblehead. That's bobblehead presented by Mercury, Chicago's Skyline Cruise Line. Visit whitesox.com to purchase your tickets today.
That is right, very close to the beginning of what will be the longest homestand of the year, coming off this 6-game road trip.
10-day homestand for the Sox as Russell Martin takes strike number 1. 34-year-old catcher who is 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts all time against Quintana. This will not be a strikeout. Hansen in center, new to the position, played that well. And the inning's over. Morales a home run, nothing more. 7-1 Sox after 2.
To Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite. So Toronto comes into this game pretty decent at home, 18-15. Not so good on the road at 14-18. But division opponents have taken advantage of them, and if you're going to win anything, you got to do it in your division. They're 12-19 against the American League East.
Blue Jays, who've been to the playoffs the last 2 years after a drought from '94, which of course you would have to have a drought in '94, through 2014. A couple of decades worth without the playoffs here in Toronto as Omar Narvaez plunks this down over the head of Pierce, and Omar's on his way to second base.
That's something from Omar that you don't see a lot of. Now he's got a great command of the strike zone. He's one of the few guys that you'll see with more walks than strikeouts. But not so many extra base hits. In fact, this just his third double of the year. No triples, no home runs. But Pierce has a hard time with it. He was actually playing him too low.
No. He's at shortstop.
Too low?
Yeah. Here's Sanchez to take ball number 1. Yeah, the Jays with the back-to-back World Series championships, 92 and 93, and from all accounts, this place was absolutely rocking those years.
Yeah, I was going to say that those were the days where they packed them in each and every game. And this place, with the roof closed, was as loud a ballpark as there was anywhere. And as you can see, World Series champs, 92-93. Won some divisions, but have not gone back to get the big prize.
They got the new ballpark at the very right time. They went to the playoffs 4 times in 5 seasons upon its opening. And after that, there just wasn't a whole lot of winning going on.
And one of the men who certainly helped them along was Joe Carter, who had a charity event centered around our hotel. It was Joe's home run against Mitch Williams that propelled them to one of those champions. Joe was a really good player, terrific hitter out of Wichita State. Originally came up with the Cubs and then traded to Cleveland in a deal that brought Rick Sutcliffe, who went 16-1 from that point to the rest of the year. 1984, Sutcliffe came to the Cubs. Carter, Mel Hall went to Cleveland.
To shortstop and Tulowitzki. Narvaez to third, and Sanchez is out. 1 down, and Hansen to bat.
So for some of you young players out there, if you're going to get a hard and fast rule, if you're on second base, if the ball is hit behind you, you take off. If the ball is hit at you or in front of you, you don't. You stay there. So watch where Omar is. He's there. The ball is up the middle. It's behind him, and he takes off. And that number 1 will create some pressure for the shortstop, but also it takes away the angle he would have had to throw to third base. So you force him to throw to first. He moves to third. Good piece of base running.
We see that angle so clearly on a play from first base to second base, but rarely do you see that angle getting cut off by the runner on the way to third, just in terms of camera angles in watching a game.
Yeah. And that's, that's again putting the pressure on the shortstop. He doesn't want to open himself up to a big inning. Now the infield in at all 4 positions.
Hansen fouls it away left side, ball and a strike. Alan Hansen out of the Dominican Republic, and he's spoken the last couple days of how important it is to have Ricky Renteria to be able to communicate, and seem like he absolutely fits in the clubhouse over from Pittsburgh.
Well, he has to view this as an opportunity that he wasn't so sure he was going to get. But now that it's presented itself, he's come in tonight 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored and a stolen bag. So knowing that fly ball would get the run home.
He hits it on the ground, up the middle and through. Hansen is 3 for 3, and the Sox lead 8-1.
Third run driven in. Alan Hansen. 3 innings, 3 singles, stolen base, 2 runs scored, and a run batted in. So through a drawn in infield, it's even more difficult with an artificial surface infield because the ball just accelerates off that, despite the fact that they've tried to slow it down. This is set right on top of crushed automobile tires. They grind them up, they put them underneath the field, and you hope to take a little of the liveliness out of it, but it's still a very fast infield.
For Alan Hansen, it's his very first 3-hit game in the majors. Just his second multi-hit game of the year, I should say. His third of his career in terms of multi-hit game. I had one with Pittsburgh earlier this year and a 2-hit game against Washington last September. Two balls and a strike from Leon, who you would imagine is charged with throwing as long as he possibly can in this game.
That's the one thing that John Gibbons would really like, and that's a lot of outs.
Melky flares it left side and foul. Top 3 in the order for the Sox tonight have yet to make an out. 6 for 6, 5 runs scored, and a walk.
I would say that's pretty stout production out of the boys at the top. That's going to win you a few games if you can do that for a while.
Melky goes down as Leone spins a high fastball. Third strikeout for Leone out of the bullpen, and 2 down for Abreu.
Jose 50% of the way to the cycle here early in this one. So the triple and the double. Triple being the toughest part of that cycle is already accomplished.
Jose 10 for his last 18.
He gets in streaks like this, and usually it's when the weather starts to heat up. And the weather has been pretty warm where we've gone. He's making the most of it.
On the ground at third, and Donaldson. Sox get a run in the inning, and this place is rather quiet, but it's home to one of the most iconic moments in sports history. Joe Carter off Mitch Williams, and the trophy was theirs here in Toronto. By guaranteed rate when buying a home, the best mortgage experience on the planet starts at rate.com. The roof is moving here at Rogers Center.
It is indeed. Wouldn't be a bad idea to close it now, make the ballpark as dead as you could possibly make it all the way around, and secure this 7-run lead. think Jose, if he had a vote, would certainly be in favor of it.
He'll face Steve Pearce first. And there is strike one. Good work by Dominic Leone out of the bullpen for the Jays to quiet this thing, though he did give up a run in the third inning. There is some rain in the area, so that's why the roof is on the move. Takes about 20 minutes to close the roof.
I think we're safe.
It's comforting.
I think we're going to be just fine.
Inside, ball and 2 strikes on Pearce, who played in his last game on May the 14th. As you watch the stage-by-stage roof closing.
Pearce had some good moments with the Baltimore Orioles. He could always swing the bat. I know they were very happy to get him back.
Came up through the Pirates organization. He's had a nice career against Quintana at 4 for 9, including a home run.
Looking at the career of Steve Pearce, he's been around a long time, a lot of different places. Pittsburgh, originally bringing him to the major leagues, and then Baltimore before Tampa Bay.
Ball's drilled to left field on a line, and it is gone.
Home run number 5. Pearce has driven in 11, and that was a line drive rocket. It's only 328 down the line. And that line drive was the second home run of the evening in our Ford home run replay. Pearce gets a fastball, looked to be middle out again. Because he's fairly close to the plate, for him it was center cut, and he hit a line drive rocket that disappears over the wall.
That ball was a dart. Darwin Barney on the ground left side for Frazier. And there is out number 1. Well, we mentioned John Gibbons had said that he was hoping to get maybe more runs off of manufacturing jobs rather than home runs, but he will take the solo shots if they come.
Yeah, this is a team that has got to hit the ball out of the ballpark. I know that John would probably like to see more runs manufactured. However, they've only swiped 26 bases. Pilar is their best base stealer by far. He's got 10 of them.
And he takes a breaking ball strike, 0-1.
He's coming back from his suspension. Kevin Pilar has not been doing a great deal.
Right field, Garcia drifting for out number 2. That one was stung, but right at Avi.
That's one thing with a big lead a pitcher has to guard against, and that is you don't want to walk anybody, so you start throwing a lot of pitches in the strike zone, but you still have to realize that no lead is really safe in this modern game with so many guys being able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. It's a fine line between throwing strikes, not walking anybody, and making too many hittable pitches, especially early in the count. And this is one of the guys that can get you some runs in a hurry. Josh Donaldson, and when he was gone, this team was not near the same.
6 home runs since May the 30th for Donaldson, as we told you about in our open. And he had the first hit for the Blue Jays today, a 1-out single in the first. Right field, Garcia for out number 3. Just in case you wondered how quickly a roof can close. Here it is. Oh boy, it's a thrill ride. Unlimited baseball break presented by T-Mobile, and guys who have homered in 5 straight games in Sox history. Greg Luzinski was the first, then Kittle did it later that year. Frank twice in the strike-shortened '94 season. Carlos Lee, Konerko, and Pierzynski for this generation as well. And Luzinski, I think, as the roof is still in the process of closing. Luzinski, even more impressively maybe, in '83, the first time a Sox player did it. 3 of those games where he homered of the 5 were at Kansas City.
That's usually a pretty good trick, but the Bull had enough power to hit it out of anywhere. In those days, before the new ballpark, the old park was not easy to hit it out of.
Avi shanks this to right, and Leone has a chancey out number 1 here in the 4th.
Hard hit ball, but Bautista right there. So Dominic is doing exactly what John Gibbons would have wanted, but he's not used to going this long, and so the bullpen up and going just in case. And you'd have to figure that Leone will not be getting that many more outs in this one.
He's got strike 1 to Frazier, who's got a sacrifice fly in the 1st and a fly out to left in the 2nd. That's the first pitch that Todd hasn't put in play tonight.
And for those of you who maybe were not around when our Dan Hayes came with his report on the fact that Frazier and Davidson both have gone down into the bullpen to stand up when pitchers are throwing, and you might want to know what that will do. Well, one of the things it does for the hitter is it gets him, knowing he's not going to swing, it gets him to look at the baseball all the way into the catcher's glove. And you'll see guys will start breaking out of slumps as they look at the ball all the way through into the glove. The longer they see the ball, the better most likely they're going to see it, and the easier it is to hit, although it's never easy anyway. But you'll notice guys, when they start to break out of a slump, it's because they're going to watch the ball all the way, and it really helps you to be in that bullpen seeing a number of pitches without the pressure of having to swing the bat. So that is an advantage. From a pitching standpoint, I always liked it because I could set the hitter up exactly where I wanted to and then throw a pitch, make it a game situation, and move him around. Sometimes I would have him actually go to the other side, a right-hand hitter go to the left side. He's not going to swing anyway, so it doesn't matter. I just wanted to to get a visual of throwing it either in under his hands or up and away, down and away, whatever. I think it helps both parties.
Frazier goes up for that ball on 3-2 and flares it out to left field. Hung up for too long. Tulowitzki has out number 2. Sox Math hits the road. Hashtag Sox Math on Twitter. First correct answer wins a prize off the prize shelf. Number of games in this series plus the number of games on this road trip. Subtract the number of days on the road trip, not including yesterday's travel day, and then multiply the fewest number of countries you'd have to go through to drive to Jose Quintana's home nation from here in Toronto. Super Sox fan 79 was the winner yesterday.
Is that a trick question? The last one on the drive through to get to various countries that Jose might have been from.
Are you thinking boat?
Well, I'm thinking the drive would be very difficult. Much more probably than you would expect. Yeah. Doesn't necessarily have to be that way, though. You could take the long way. I was thinking about shortcuts.
You never do that.
Sure.
2 balls and no strikes on Matt Davidson. Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer wins a prize that we will send you from here in Toronto. Prize shelf got hung up in customs, so
had a hard time getting through.
Yeah, we're going to send you something from in the press box here at Rogers Center. Could be a signed lineup card. Could be a signed stat sheet.
What would be literally the best would be the Canadian version of cranberry juice that they happen to have here, which seems to be just wonderful.
It's the best juice you will ever have.
One of the highlights of the trip.
Come to Toronto, get the cranberry juice. No sugar added. 2-2 on Davidson, and the roof is officially closed.
Unfortunately for Matt, he's got enough power. It doesn't matter if they close the roof, if they open it, if they move the plate back 30 feet, he still has enough power to hit it out.
3 balls and 2 strikes to Davidson.
Let's take a look at StatCast powered by AWS. And this is one of the home runs. Exit velocity of 102.6, launch angle of 35.9, and went 404 feet.
Got him swinging, so Leone has struck out Davidson a couple of times. And he has a 1-2-3-4. And Sox still with a big lead at 8-2. Coca-Cola Friday, June 23rd, 7:10 p.m. Purchase this specially priced package to get a game ticket and a White Sox cowboy hat voucher. Hats are limited to the first 1,000 fans. Visit whitesox.com/country to get yours today. Rogers Center, the site, formerly Sky Dome and now Rogers Center here in Toronto, as Jose Bautista faces Jose Quintana. And strike number one here in the fourth. Bautista just 2 runs driven in this month out of the 30 this year.
He got off to a slow start, then had a very good May, but obviously a lull in June.
One and two from Quintana, who's allowed a couple of runs, both on solo homers so far.
That was a good straight change, something that Jose probably wants to mix in a little bit more, because he had Bautista looking for anything but. Now he shakes off the straight change, the fastball away.
Missed down and out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So 3 and 2 on Bautista, who has never seen Quintana terribly well. He's 1 for 14 career. That includes a double play in tonight's first inning. Swinging strike 3.
That time he went back to the fastball, but kept it away and sunk it. And Bautista with no contact. We're going to take a look at Bautista again on the last pitch, and I'll explain to you why he couldn't hit it.
Let's do that.
Okay. Take a look at the left shoulder. Watch his left shoulder as he goes and tries to hit this. He opens up way too quickly. When you open it up, you've got no coverage on the outside part of the plate. And hitters will tell you, like pitchers, you have to stay closed or you're going to wind up with no contact whatsoever. And he might have been looking for the ball middle in. He didn't get it there, but opening that lead shoulder is guaranteed to make sure you don't make a lot of contact middle out.
You think it comes from him guessing on that pitch?
I think it absolutely does. I think he guesses a lot anyway. I'm not going to tell you he guessed on that particular pitch. Sometimes you go in a streak where you're opening up well too quickly. For a pitcher, he doesn't throw strikes when he does that. For a hitter, no coverage middle out. So in that case, when he looks at it again, he'll realize what he did wrong.
1 and 2 on Morales, who homered the first time and won't hear. Breaking ball for strike 3 and 2 down. As here is your Sox math answer for tonight. Very easy off the top. 3 games in this series, 6 on the road trip, 9 minus 7 days on the road trip. So 2 times 7 countries between here and Colombia. So you'd have to drive from here through the United States and then Mexico. That's 2. Guatemala, which is connected to Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama before you hit Quintana's home country of Colombia.
Does that include tolls?
It does. I don't know that the iPass or Easy Pass works in, say, Tegucigalpa, but you might want to check that out before you hop in the car.
Yeah, knowing that ahead of time would be good, especially in Tegucigalpa.
You been?
No.
You haven't?
I know. I was going to go, but it was right after I was supposed to schedule to get back from Mozambique. And then, of course, well, that fell through.
Ball of 2 strikes on Justin Smoke. When was that?
Oh, that was. Yeah, in fact, and that's what. Well, thank you, Keon. Our producer tells us that was scheduled right after going to Sierra Leone. But then he decided to pitch in this ball game, so.
No, it's his brother Dominic down the line and foul.
Jose's getting a lot of use out of a slower curveball tonight, and he's had a lot of these Blue Jays out in front of it.
Just picturing you hunting game,
big game
on the veldt,
huge game
in Africa. Safari hat. Dr. Stone, I presume. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Smoke. South Carolina native.
Goose Creek, I believe. Lovely place.
Charleston is one of the fine cities in America. 2-2. That's strike 3. Quintana flattens the Blue Jays with 3 straight strikeouts. I'm still picturing the Steve Stone African safari. Somebody make a JPEG.
Don't miss the stars of the future in action this weekend. Tomorrow night, the Charlotte Knights take on Indianapolis at 6 on CSN Plus. Then Sunday night, Yoan Moncada and the Knights wrap up the series versus Indy at 7 on CSN. And we got a new pitcher in the ball game, and he is Jeff Beliveau out of Rhode Island. Cubs draft pick, originally on for the 4th time. The ERA and even threes, only pitched in 3 innings. He comes in trying to do the same thing that Leon did, get some outs and hold them right there. It's a 6-run deficit.
Tim Anderson takes a strike. Close to the corner, 0-1. Beliveau left little roadie for South Carolina and Florida for college. Better climates down there. College of Charleston and Florida Atlantic.
It's going to be Sox first look at him. He's got an unusual motion. It's a very strange arm action, giving him a little deception.
Where's the deception come in for the hitter's eye?
Well, he's got a little hesitation, and usually anything you do other than the norm is going to be to your advantage, at least the first time or two that you're seeing. Does not have an overpowering fastball, so he has to depend on deception.
He's out of Bishop Hendricken High School, Beliveau is, in Rhode Island, and the only other major league player to come through there was Rocco Baldelli, whose career was cut short.
We just saw him first base coach for the Tampa Bay Rays, and Melky and Todd, the only two guys that have seen Beliveau, and that was just briefly.
Strike 3 and 1 down in the 5th.
First ball, high fastball, and Tim didn't see it particularly well, threw that one by him.
So that's 6 in a row retired by the partnership of Leone and Beliveau. And now Omar Narvaez, as the Blue Jays are pretty well stocked in that bullpen with left-handers. You know, it was interesting talking to Ricky Renteria before the game about Omar, and we have told you quite a bit, and you can see it, that his eye at the plate is very discerning. He's got a good command of the strike zone. But one thing Ricky said as well that helps Omar's eye is just his ability to cut out the noise, his ability to be almost emotionless and not get too ramped up in the batter's box, which goes very well with a good batter's eye.
It also usually is a characteristic of a guy who's been in the game a lot longer than Omar has been in the game. So the fact that he can use that and in essence slow things down really help him a lot, because his eye is wonderful.
2-0. Fouled away, 2 balls, 1 strike.
So he came into this one with 14 strikeouts and 17 walks. And neither of them come into play tonight, so that stays the same, and you don't find many guys with more walks than strikeouts, especially young hitters.
Second-year major leaguer. It's a tough pitch. 2-2 from Beliveau to Narvaez, who had his first hit in 13 days in the 3rd inning. That said, with a couple games with an offer, he always gives you a good at bat. Beliveau on 2-2. Fouled off again.
Beliveau got lucky. That was a rolling breaking ball that was over the middle of the plate, and Omar fouled it back. So this is very hittable, but he fouled it off.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 down, 5th inning. Sox in this game got 4 in the first. If dinner ran a little long, you missed some of the action. If you had dessert, you missed 3 more in the second. And then the final run for the Sox so far came in the 3rd. Narvaez scored it on an RBI single from Alan Hansen, who's 3 for 3.
6 extra base hits in the early going in this one. It started off with an infield hit because of the speed of Hansen, and where Biagini just deteriorated from there.
Still 2-2.
Nice battle by Omar, and he's seeing Beliveau for the first time, so each and every new pitch has at least the opportunity to be mystifying, but so far he's been able to stay alive.
Pitch number 8 from Beliveau. Breaking ball swatted into center field.
That time he waited back. That was probably the 3rd hittable breaking ball in the sequence, and finally the 3rd time was the charm, because he was able to take it right back up the middle. That one stayed waist high, and for a curveball waist high, not where you want it to be, and Omar wins the battle.
For a 25-year-old catcher who was essentially unprotected by the Rays, Sox grab him. And last year, I mean, it's not like anybody in the Sox front office thought Well, come June, Omar Narvaez is going to get up to the big leagues, and he's going to be a game changer in terms of his ability to take strikes or take pitches that are off the plate and command the strike zone.
Anytime you can find a left-hand hitting catcher with any skills at all, that's worth acquiring to your system. And when you take a look at what the Sox have done behind the plate, they've had a hard time raising catchers. I don't think that they're the Lone Ranger. I think that's probably the most difficult position. And if you can find one who can combine all the requisite skills of defense and offense and mix in a bit of a leadership role, then you got yourself a keeper.
From what we've heard about Zach Collins down in Advanced A Winston-Salem, his defense is improving.
That was one of the things he knew coming in. That's what he'd had to work on. But he's thrown out some base runners. That part of it's good. He's going to get every opportunity to get a whole lot better. And his bat will play at any level.
10 home runs this year for Collins, as Sanchez is down a ball and 2 strikes. Winston-Salem is in lovely Buies Creek, North Carolina tonight, the home of the Campbell Camels.
Not a lot of humidity down there, I would assume.
Oh no. 1-2 to Sanchez. Omar at first. Called strike 3.
This one could have gone either way, and it went Belivo's way. Borderline low, borderline outside, but good enough, says Mike Muchlinski, and certainly too close to take. But Yomer did just that in his first right-handed at bat this evening.
First 2 pitchers, Biagini and Leone, were right-handed. And here's Hansen, who also switches to go right against the left-hander Beliveau. Career night so far for Hansen. First 3-hit game ever in the majors.
Outfield playing him a couple of steps as an off-field hitter. Infield pretty much straight away as they're trying to find out a bit more about Alan Hansen.
He's taken ball 1 all 4 times he's been up.
It's a good habit to get into if speed's a big part of your game. And then when you get things a little more consistent as far as playing time is concerned, when you do swing at a first pitch, which you eventually will, you're going to surprise some people.
Just as you said, the Jays are trying to gather more information about Hansen and where he's going to hit the ball. They do the same thing with how he handles first pitches. Three balls, no strikes. Narvaez at first, 2 down. There's a strike at 90.
One of the things that Omar probably wants to get out of the habit of doing, and that is taking a lead that is big enough so that his first step is back to first base. You want to take a short enough lead and then get the extra distance in your secondary lead. You never want to have any of your momentum going back to first base if you're a base runner at first.
Inside ball 4. So Hansen to first, Narvaez to second. You can follow Dan Hayes, our White Sox insider, all season long. CSNChicago.com. It's presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday. Shop The Great Escape. Those hats from the Dan Hayes collection. You can find them if you run into Dan.
I thought it was the fan club for the Gorton's Fishermen. It's a good look.
They actually took those directly from Sarah Martin's closet.
In case this roof actually opens up again and it rains on them, they're prepared.
Part of the Paddington Bear look. Strike number 1 to Melky Cabrera. Would be something though if that roof decided to open. They would have been completely prepared, and the joke would be on all of us.
Huge advantage in this ballpark. When your team is really doing well, you play with the roof closed and the noise is otherworldly. But down 8-2 in this one. Not a whole lot of noise to this point. Hasn't been a lot to make noise about.
Melky tags this ball deep left field. Gone!
So Melky goes way back. Line drive rocket, 7th home run. And a big night for Melky, who actually had seen Beliveau one time. The second time he saw him, he really liked. Our 4th home run replay, it's a rocket. And the difference here is Russell Martin wanted a fastball up, and he threw a fastball down. And Melky hit the daylights out of it. Our 4th home run replay, line drive rocket. This park is a hitter's paradise.
It's the type of home run that gets Chuck Garfien out of his seat back in the studio.
Usually you need a crane, so I'm in favor of it. It's 5 driven in by Melky tonight.
I didn't know Chuck was close with Kelsey Grammer.
They're like brothers. And Niles.
I think Chuck lives in the city, not Niles. With that home run, another generous donation from the Alex Delius family in loving memory of Ursula. Sox with their first home run of this game. Lots of other stuff in the scorebook, however, as Donaldson throws out Abreu to end the inning. But the Sox have tortured Blue Jay pitching so far tonight. Melky Cabrera, a don't blink home run here in the 5th. We look forward to seeing that highlight of Yohan Moncada. Charlotte is up 2-1 for Lucas Giolito with a 2-run second inning.
Since the no-hitter, Lucas Giolito has started to throw it very well. And I know you don't know this, but see, you come on the road now, it's nothing but runs. That's all there is. Runs, runs, runs.
And I've just been missing out that happens. And as I watch the game, it's not really what's being transmitted.
No.
Okay.
Lots of runs.
I see.
And Jose, one of the happier men in the ballpark to be extended a 9-run lead to this point.
To second. Oh my goodness, Yolmer.
Top of his leap.
Carlos wouldn't have caught it. Yolmer did.
Well, Carlos was a couple inches shorter than Yolmer. And this is a rocket up the middle. Yolmer at the top of his jump takes it away. He got up there. Nice play.
What a play by Sanchez. Here's Russell Martin.
Blue Jay bullpen is going once again. So it could very well be that getting an inning of work with 3 runs on a couple of hits might be it for Beliveau.
It's Jason Grilli up for the Blue Jays.
And that is who it is. They're very good friends with the Grilli family.
Yeah, Dad's actually going to be in town starting tomorrow for Father's Day weekend. Steve, former pitcher. On the ground, shortstop Anderson for out number 2. Abreu found the bag. Beautiful city here in Toronto.
It is gorgeous, and today was as wonderful a day as we've seen in quite some time. So an opportunity for the boys who got in a little later. It was a long game yesterday, but today they had an advantage of seeing a beautiful city probably at its best.
Frazier at third at the line with a one-hop throw that gets away. And this will be second base for Pierce as the ball ended up in the stands.
Well, Todd decided that he wanted a lollipop at the first base, which is never a really good plan. He knew he had some time, but it does go E5. He's got plenty of time. Takes a lot off the throw, and then Jose cannot make the grab. Jose frustrated with himself, but Pierce winds up at second base. And for Todd, picks up the air, and that's just his 4th of the year. It's been a good year defensively.
That breaks 8 in a row. Retired by Quintana. Darwin Barney takes a strike. Saw Frazier's reaction on that throw. He started running toward first base almost as if to say, please catch that.
Darwin Barney's going to be in a platoon system at second base. So he wants to get as much playing time as he can against the left-handers because Ryan Goins is the guy who's going to play against the right-handers.
Blue Jays came into today tied for 4th or last, however you want to see it, glass half full, half empty, with the Orioles, who are trailing 5-1 in the 6th to St. Louis. Left side and past Anderson. Pierce around third. Melky's throw to the plate is waiting for him. He is toast.
Omar Narvaez faking that there was no play. He was standing motionless at the plate. And Melky airmails it all the way, and you see Omar waiting for the ball to arrive, and Pierce is gunned down by plenty as they keep running on Melky, and they keep getting thrown out. Jason Grilli on for the 24th time at 2-4. His ERA way up there. You look at some numbers that are not great, but this is great. As Melky, he's got a shot, and that shot is, well, it's a reality now. Omar just stood there, did not make a move as if to set up for the throw, and just waited for it to arrive. It does, and Pierce is out by plenty.
Melky Cabrera cuts down another. Jason Grilli misses inside to Avi Garcia to start the 6th. Jason Grilli, like you, is a published author.
He is.
Yeah. 3 years ago, with a little bit of ghostwriting assistance, wrote a book called Just My Game. He doesn't have multiple books, though, so you got him beat.
But he's young yet. He's got.
So are you.
He's got plenty left. Oh, yeah.
One of those eye of the beholder phrases, I think.
It's true, yeah.
Applies here. 2-1 on Garcia, who, you look at the score, it's 11-2, and you would think, boy, Avi Garcia, considering the season he's having, would be a big part of it, but he's nothing for 2 with a walk.
Pretty happy about the last at bat, though. Line drive rocket, but Bautista was standing in front of it. And that one got a piece of Mike Muchlinski, and Russell Martin asked him if he's okay, so he's going to go out. This is not to settle down Jason Grilli. It's to give Muchlinski a chance to regroup.
The unspoken bond between catchers and umpires.
Well, umpires will do it for every catcher, and catchers can relate like nobody else on the field to a guy that gets hit with a foul ball. And so you give him a little opportunity to get himself together, which he is.
So here we go, 2-2 from Grilli to Garcia after 1 inning from Jeff Beliveau. Grilli starts this with a ground ball to third. Donaldson just barely nipped Avi Garcia. Save on tickets for Dad with the Father's Day flash sale. Choose from 9 upcoming home games, including 3 against the Yankees, and get lower level tickets for just $10. The special offer ends Sunday at 5 p.m. So visit whitesox.com/father to order your tickets today. Jason Grilli's dad is actually en route to Toronto. He's going to show up tomorrow, so I'm sure Steve, the former Major League pitcher, is very angry at his television right now that he missed Jason on the mound. Foul ball straight back toward us.
You were bailing out just a touch. I remember the golden years when you used to charge those, but now, nah, not so much.
Yeah, no thanks. Gonna pass.
Well, it's probably a wise plan overall.
I left both my glove and my ambition at home.
They would have probably confiscated it.
My ambition?
At the border anyway. No, your glove, certainly.
You can't get certain emotions across the border here? I missed that.
You're going to leave that at home.
Huh. Stringent.
Chris, give me 3, please.
Muchlinski wants some more baseballs.
Todd Frazier wants a little more time.
Ricky Renteria and Jose Abreu.
What he's probably asking him, look, this is a blowout game, and when a guy plays every day, and Jose does, Ricky probably went up and said, hey, you want to go the rest of the way? Now a player appreciates that because he knows that's an option. Jose doesn't like to come out at any time, so he's probably telling him, I'm okay, Skip. But that's what a veteran manager will do that younger managers don't have that kind of history with players to deal with. That's one of the reasons Ricky's going to be here for a while, and one of the reasons why he is growing into one of the better managers in the game.
Well, and people may say, well, he's only managed in the majors for a couple of years, but he was a minor league manager for a long time.
And that's where you learn a whole lot of interaction with players, what to look for, when to give them some time to get away from the ball game.
Yeah, 8 years in the minors, starting in 1998 as a skipper all the way to 2007.
He was given a great opportunity with the Cubs, managed just the 1 year, and then Joe Madden became available, and Ricky Renteria realizes it's a business. He wasn't able to see the rebuild to its fruition, and the rebuild, as we know, turned into a World Series championship team.
Broken bat flares second base. Darwin Barney for out number 2. This one on Frazier.
So he's in almost a similar situation here with the White Sox. The biggest difference is that he is going to be afforded the opportunity to see this rebuild come to fruition. Hopefully it works out the same way. He learned by that experience, and he's a good enough manager to realize that the second time around he will have taken everything he learned from his first major league stint and brought it forward with him. And he's got some talented players here. And he's going to get the best out of each and every one of them. I love the fact that he's got everybody hustling on every situation, not only just running to first base, but taking the extra base if they can. It's a much more aggressive team these days.
Saw Alan Hansen steal a base in the first inning tonight as the first batter to reach, first batter to hit. Hansen, by the way, 3 for 3. 3 runs scored, 4 times on base, and Jose Quintana is getting all that run support that he hadn't gotten before.
Problem is,
strike 3.
40 in one game doesn't count.
Helps you win this one. 9-run game, bottom 6 next. Report presented by Ozinga, and it is in Single A Kannapolis. Brandon Doolin, who came over from the Royals organization with 4 homers in the last 4 games for the Kannapolis Intimidators, who just torched the Hagerstown Suns in North Carolina in a twin bill yesterday. Kannapolis has the best record in the White Sox minor league organization, 37-28, entering play today for the Eyes.
And everybody will tell you that the records really don't matter as you're developing players, but what matters is simply this: you get them in a habit of winning at whatever level they happen to be at. They win as a group, they're coming up as a group, and they know how to win by the time they get to the major leagues, and that's the benefit of winning some games in the minor leagues.
Pilar fouls it away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Certainly you don't need to win games in the minors. You don't. But if you're going, especially right now, you'd want, if you had any choice of any team in the minors for the Sox, you'd want the lowest level team to be winning. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that's where you're building your foundation.
Center field deep. Hanson's back. And that ball's off the wall. Hanson new to center field, has it clang past him, and Pilar is into second with a leadoff double.
Pilar hit this ball awfully hard, and Allen turned the wrong way, but it wouldn't have mattered. He wasn't getting to this one anyway. So this is a low fastball, outer third again. Jason showed you the graphic that Jose has been torched on the outer portion of the plate, be it up or down, and Pilar hit the daylights out of this one. Allen, who thought he had a shot at it, again being new to center field, you don't want to get trapped too close to the wall. He was, and the ball bounded by him. So a double to lead off the inning.
Here is Josh Donaldson with his magenta undershirt. One for two tonight for Donaldson, and a breaking ball fouled away. Blue Jays pen is up and loosening again. It is all hands on deck as Aaron Loop gets loose.
He's got a most unusual motion. Another one of those left-handers that depends a lot on deception as opposed to just out-and-out stuff.
Maybe when the Blue Jays come to Chicago, he can join our In the Loop folks here in the CSN studio. That's a foul ball. 0-2 on Donaldson.
I believe that they're going to relieve our Chuck, who's exhausted from actually doing a live read, and they're going to take over in the 8th inning. I think that's great. Don't want to exhaust our Chuck. It's not that late in the season for him. He's got a long way to go.
As we saw Ricky Renteria talking to Jose Abreu, said, look, it's a blowout game. Do you need a little bit of a rest? Our producer said that to Chuck. And he said, yes, get me out of here.
Oh, of course.
Ball and 2 strikes on Donaldson. Foul ball from Donaldson. By the way, I had mentioned that Jason Grilli, who was pitching for the Blue Jays, his dad was on his way to Toronto. He's actually leaving in the morning.
I thought it was a long trip if he was currently on the way. Nope. Depends on the wagon train, I guess, that you're pulling, but so he's actually going to fly here. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Son's in the major leagues, can afford to spring for a ticket or two.
Ball and 2 strikes on Donaldson. Check swing. He did not go. You play your cards right, he'll build a pier for your backyard too. Maybe get you a car.
Great.
It's good news about having offspring in the big leagues.
It is that. Donaldson just looked at a high fastball, very tempting, but did not pull the trigger.
Pilar at second. 2-2. That actually could have been strike 3. The way Omar caught it, he pushed it down, and it's 3-2.
A lot of people don't understand the correlation between how a ball is received by the catcher and the call. And unfortunately, he took that low pitch down even lower, and a pitch that was in the zone was not called.
3-2. That's up high, ball 4, so 2 on, nobody out for the Jays here in the 6th.
That's the first walk of the night as Don Cooper comes out. He wants a word with Jose. Just wants to get him concentrating again. Even with a big lead, concentration is essential. And he's going to leave him with something what you want your pitching coach to do, and what the good ones do, and Coop is one of those guys, is they leave the pitcher with something positive. And one of the things to think about in this situation is talking to him about throwing strikes, certainly, but he's probably leaving him with the idea, throw a ground ball, get us a double play, and we'll get closer to getting out of this inning.
What's the best thing a pitching coach ever said to you to leave you with a positive thought?
It was with nobody on base, second inning, I had retired everybody I faced, and my pitching coach Ray Miller came running out to the mound in Baltimore. I'd only been there a couple of starts, and I looked at him because nobody was on, and I said, you know, what do you got? He said, got a message from your infielders. And I said, and what's that? He said, speed it up, they're falling asleep. And then he ran back to the dugout. So I did speed it up from then on. It worked very well for me. That was a little nice message, very quick, very succinct, and back in the dugout, and it worked pretty well. Left me something positive, and I was able to run with it.
You had to have been thinking, the pitching coach comes out in this place.
I'm wondering what happened.
I've allowed no runners.
Nothing, but message delivered and certainly absorbed and worked out well. I woke up the infielders and then started to work more quickly.
Prodded a couple of them awake. So ball and a strike on Bautista, who's grounded into a double play already tonight and struck out. One and one. On the ground at shortstop. Anderson, Sanchez, Abreu, 6-4-3.
That's what a great pitching coach does. Tells you to go get that ground ball for a double play, and then you go and get it. And he's 1 out away from getting out of the inning and keeping a 2 next to the Toronto line. Second time tonight. Bautista grounds into a double play. That will give him 9 for the year. 9 double plays. Still not leading the team. That's Kendrys Morales. He's got 12 of those.
It's up to him with Pilar at third. Quintana's 2 runs allowed tonight have come both on solo homers. Morales had the first one in the second inning, then Pierce to lead off the third. He was way out in front. 1 ball, 1 strike.
So the Blue Jays offered $60 million to Encarnacion, which, if it sounds familiar, that's exactly what he signed for 3 years with the Indians. He turned it down thinking there was a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There wasn't. They got Kendrys Morales for $32 million, thinking that he would provide maybe not 42 and 127, but pretty good. And then, ironically, Encarnacion signed for the same price.
Rocket to center field. Hansen has it squared up, and that will do it. 11-2 your score. The Sox enjoying the sights and sounds and the scoreboard of Toronto, Canada.
The championship in women's football. So check out the Final Fours tonight on the Loop Prime, immediately following White Sox post-game live.
Speaking of in the loop,
he's in the game. Aaron Loop.
That's what we call a segue in the biz.
It is a segue, and he's done awfully good. For the 31st time, he's 2-0. His ERA 2.74. You see the 25 strikeouts, 23 innings. He's got a lot of deception. He's a side-wheeling left-hander. And as you can see, left-handers have hit him much better than the right-handers because he has a pretty decent changeup.
He'll face Anderson first, then Narvaez and Sanchez in the Sox 7th inning, and Tim greets him rather rudely. 2 for 4 night for Tim Anderson.
Takes it right back up the middle. And a good way to start the inning. Right over the mound, over second base, past the diving Barney. And he's aboard.
Here's Omar. It's 2 for 3. A couple of runs scored. On the ground right side. This is through. Tim thought about third and decided to slam on the brakes. So Omar Narvaez is 3 for 4.
One of the things that Tim will start to pick up is when the play is behind you, instead of looking back, which is going to slow you down, when you're 15 feet from second base, take a look at your third base coach. This ball sneaks through, and Tim sees it going to right field, but then he doesn't know what happens after that. So we'll take a look at it. He takes a look and sees that it's through, but he picks up Nick Capper just a little late. Not that important in an 11-2 game, but something that he'll take with him from here on out. So another promising inning starting.
Two on, nobody out. Sanchez takes ball 1. Four relievers used by John Gibbons tonight for the Blue Jays. By the way, this is position player pitching territory, and this season has seen the highest rate of position players pitching in MLB history.
I don't think it's surprising when you look at the record pace the home runs being hit are on, and a lot more offense seemingly these days. So guys not wanting to burn their bullpen, I can't blame them.
To shortstop, Tulowitzki and Barney and Smoke.
Darwin Barney, who is the owner of a Gold Glove, very quick on the relay to first base as a pivot man on the double play. I don't think he's any quicker, however, than Yomer is. Sanchez is very good getting that throw off and turning the double play. Here's one of the men of the night. A perfect night for the guy who didn't know he was going to play till he came to the park.
Leury Garcia was in the original starting lineup. He was scratched because of a swollen hand, and Alan Hansen has not made an out in 4 trips to the plate in his second career White Sox start. First career 3-hit game.
That's a changeup we talked about, making him much more effective against right-handers than left-handers. He had Allen well out in front of it. His changeup started low and got lower.
Out of the hand, though, that pitch never really looks like a strike.
No,
does it?
well, yeah, it does. Out of his hand, it probably looks like a low strike, and then all of a sudden just disappears.
That's a called strike at 93, virtually unhittable. 1-2. We haven't mentioned yet tonight, but a big series going on in Minneapolis right now, where the Sox will be after this 3-game series, and Cleveland is at Minnesota. It's a 4-0 lead for the Indians right now in the 4th. It's a 2-game lead for Minnesota starting play today.
pretty hard to believe that you can lead a division, which Minnesota does, and have a record of 14-20 at home. That's usually the place where you get things going. That has not been the case with the Twins this year. They've been much better on the road. In fact, their road record of 20-9, and there you see what the division looks like.
That guy was in the wrong park, by the way. The Twins fan that took a left turn at Albuquerque.
Well, he's got a very good chapeau. He wouldn't exactly, that wouldn't fall into fedora category, but it's knocking at the door. And he can stay awake for this game. He could take that out and have a good Friday night in Toronto.
It's amazing what 5 seconds will do to a person's reputation. Hansen on the ground as shortstop. Tulowitzki knows the speed and does beat Hansen by a long step. 2 hits, no runs. Stretch time in Toronto. 11-2 Sox. Been so much a part of our nation and its history and the healing that happens when our nation has a tragedy. It just so happened there was a tragedy associated with this congressional baseball game, but we wanted to show you that the game happened and the Democrats won 11-2. It was at Nats Park. Cedric Richmond, the Democrat out of Louisiana, went 3 for 4, pitched a complete game. That's old school. 5 stolen bases, and the managers, Mike Doyle, Joe Barton. Doyle gave the trophy to the Republican manager, Joe Barton. 24,000 plus watched, and what a scene it was after what happened just a couple of days ago. But baseball continues to be part of the fabric of our nation back home, and what a scene it was to have that game get played in front of so many and so much emotion. Two balls and no strikes. Quintana to smoke. He's had a 6 home run month. On the ground, Sanchez has to go to the right of second to throw out Smoke for out number 1 in the 7th. As the Jays bullpen is once again up, it's Ryan Tepera, and he would be the 5th reliever deployed by John Gibbons tonight.
John Gibbons wants to spread out the workload, not wanting to tax any of his pitchers because he's going to need them in what undoubtedly will be a tighter game the rest of this series. So it was Biagini who got torched in an inning plus, then Leon, Beliveau, Grilli, Aaron Loop, the latest of the Blue Jay hurlers, and Tepera loosening in the pen.
Ball and a strike on Tulowitzki. out of Long Beach State, which has produced so many strong infielders.
We just left one recently.
Yeah. Evan Longoria of the Rays.
Colorado had a chance to draft him. Imagine having Tulowitzki and Longoria on the same left side of the infield in Colorado. He would have gotten there a long time before Nolan Arenado, who now is all world at third base for the Rockies, and the Rockies having just a magnificent season. Colorado 43-26, but only a game lead over Arizona and Los Angeles coming into play tonight.
There's a strike, 3-2. The Rockies are down 2-0 to the Giants so far today. Game at Coors Field. The Rockies have some talented young pitching, which is nice to see for that franchise. They're 10th in the league in Major League Baseball in ERA right now.
They've got some great arms, and the only question for Colorado, because I had a chance to talk with one of the owners in spring training, was would the young pitchers come around in time, and they certainly have. You can see a very close race, a 3-team race with the Padres and the Giants looking ahead the next year.
Still 3-2 on Tulowitzki. Who do you think wins that of those three teams? Who's best equipped? Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Rockies.
To me, I think you got to look at the Dodgers simply because they're a veteran team. They have a great closer, Kenley Jansen, terrific. They've got some good young players. Bellinger has proven to be all world, and you put him with Seager. I mean, that's a good, solid Los Angeles team who has yet to get on track as well as they can. To me, that's who wins it. But that will not diminish the great strides made by both the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. Diamondbacks would love to see a healthy A.J. Pollock come back and actually take some of the pressure off Paul Goldschmidt, but they have some other good players. Depends on the pitching for both the Rockies and Arizona if they can hang with what is a fine pitching staff for the Dodgers.
3-2 is in the dirt and bouncing away. Ball 4. It's a 1-out walk for Tulowitzki with Martin coming up. Have you ever wanted the chance to enjoy a picnic in the outfield of Guaranteed Rate Field?
Absolutely.
Meet 2017 White Sox team members.
Yes.
And talk to White Sox alumni.
Every chance I get.
Now is your chance.
Ooh, another chance.
Join us Sunday, June 25th. Picnic in the park. All proceeds benefit White Sox charities. To purchase tickets, visit whitesoxcharities.org.
You're going to get a good look at just how well kept that infield and outfield is at Guaranteed Rate Field under the patient tutelage of Roger Bossert.
That event also brings new meaning to the phrase warning track power, because the food is all on the warning track.
And that is not a mistake. That's by design. If you get around the pitcher's mound, Roger will come and scold you.
Not so gently. Most groundskeepers, it's my experience, I don't know if it's yours, most groundskeepers would actually prefer that nobody ever be on their field, even baseball players.
A lot of them feel that way, but not Roger. He's pretty good about getting everybody congregated in deep left field and not moving anywhere.
I was really impressed with Roger's calm in November when the football game was played at the ballpark, because there are cleats digging in, there are people being tackled on the field, all that stuff. Roger took a breath and was really good, and he also made a television debut for him during the football telecast.
Well deserved for the man who has built many of the current major league parks. A lot of people don't realize just how much work Roger Bossert has done over the course of his career, and because of his acclaim, a lot of other teams have sought him out to help them rebuild or shore up their fields. Roger has done a great job of it everywhere.
Other nations as well, as Quintana protects himself and zips it to first for a double play. deep breath for Q. Frazier taps him on the shoulder, and this is self-preservation. To the 8th we go.
Hello, now at eclicklending.com. eClick is located in Chicagoland. It's rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. eClick Lending. Boom! Your mortgage just happened.
We travel the boom.
We did.
It comes across the border.
Very impressive. And we got a new pitcher in the ball game. He's just the last in a succession of them. 29 times for Ryan Tepera. 4-1. He's been very good. 2.86 ERA. And let's watch a line drive again and watch Jose Quintana's reflexes. He's one of the few that you'll find that don't fall off the mound. In this case, to the third base side. Unfortunately, he didn't. That line drive was in the middle of his body, but because he squared up on his follow through, he was able to make that play and preserve what is a very promising career.
Got some attaboys from Joe McEwing and Ricky Renteria as Melky flies out to left for route number 1. And for Jose Quintana, in a season where his mind has been pulled so many different ways, considering the possibility of him being traded and all that goes along with that, it is nice to see him stabilize with a 7-inning start that was very strong tonight.
Yeah, he was throwing it pretty well. Gave up a couple of home runs, but this is a park where you're going to give up home runs. Overall, just 5 hits. And this Toronto team is a pretty decent hitting team, although not near as fearsome as they once were.
Well, Jose Quintana, last couple of starts have come on the road. In fact, 5 of his last 6 starts have been away from guaranteed rate field.
And just because he doesn't show a lot of emotion, you know that it's there. But when you watch his facial expressions, regardless of what it is, whether he goes deep in a ball game like he did tonight or gets hit early, gives up a lot of runs, he's not going to make any type of facial expressions that would lead you to know what he did on a given night. And he's got to be very happy with a bounce back performance here, a place where he's always been, if not untouchable, pretty close to it. He came in 4-0. This most likely will push him to 5-0 with an ERA not even near 1 run a game.
At .68 coming in, and you see the line tonight. He's helped the bullpen and helped the Sox to what looks like is going to be building to a series Game 1 win as Abreu takes high 2-2. Jose came in 8 for his last 16. He's 2 for 4 tonight. Double, triple, 3 runs driven in. Two and two. You got your tickets for the upcoming concert here at Rogers Center? A couple months.
There's a few of them. Metallica's coming here.
Bieber is going to be here.
Yes, I said Metallica was coming here, and so I've already arranged for you to be sent here, from regardless of where you are, to go see the Bieber concert.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Here's strike 3. Abreu goes down. Let's take a trip around Major League Baseball, shall we? Let's take you to batting practice in Oakland just the other day. Aaron Judge with a long fly ball to deep center field, and watch the guy in yellow. He wants to go talk to somebody. He starts to run across the concourse and duck.
Well, you would see that happen and say, wow, I wonder how he could possibly hit it that far. And then Buck Martinez, who broadcasts on television for Toronto, told us in this ballpark, we take a look at the scoreboard in straightaway center field, which is gigantic, by the way. And he says a Judge hit that in batting practice. Hit the scoreboard.
Not just once.
Nope. He bounced it off there a few times, as well as taking it. You see to the left where it says Citizen. He hit it up there, right where the clock is.
Off Dan Hayes' hotel room.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, look, he's 6'7", pushing in the neighborhood of 300 pounds with ridiculous power.
Garcia jacks it to center field, but Pilar is on the case for a 1-2-3 inning from Ryan Tepera. 11-2. Sox with the lead. Bottom 8 next. Face a Marmot next week.
It's my long suit, Marmot racing. The advantage is if you lose to a Marmot, you won't be devoured, as Jake Petrichka comes in the ball game. There you see him on for the 4th time. Coming back off the DL. Last time out he threw very well. First time out he had some problems. But he's a big part of the bullpen when healthy, and he believes, because he's feeling very good right now, that, and we hope, the injuries are behind him.
He'll face Steve Pearce, who takes strike number 1. Well, last time we saw Jake Petrichka, it went very well. That was back in the Baltimore series. Day number 1, he went 2 1/3, struck out 4, and allowed only 1 hit.
And the last couple times out, the sinker has been sinking. Tonight so far, sinking a little too quickly.
Well, Jose Quintana tonight put the Sox in position, gave up the only 2 runs on solo homers, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and now just 6 outs to eat up for the bullpen. A bullpen that has been overused recently. There have not been a wide variety of long starts.
No, and that's why this is so welcome. Ricky Renteria very happy with the performance of Jose Quintana tonight. If he goes to the pen at this point, he's leaving him just 6 outs, which is just fine against a team that can hit the ball out of the ballpark a lot.
Ball 4, 1 on. Vote today, vote tomorrow, vote White Sox for your 2017 All-Stars with the Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot. Vote at whitesox.com/vote and catch all the excitement of the 88th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard July 11th live on Fox. By the way, I'm getting tweets from people that say I prefer Bieber over Metallica.
Well, you do, and you know, so but it's one of those things that, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing. Everybody has different taste in music. You like him,
but
you love Lawrence Welk, I know. So I mean, you should celebrate that.
I do watch repeats of the Lawrence Welk show all the time. Yeah,
with the diversity that, you know, I think it's just great. I've been tweeting you, by the way, using other names.
There's a strike from Petrichka to Darwin Barney, who singled back in the 5th. You can tweet at Steve, by the way, at Steve Stone, if you care to jump in on his Twitter feed. Just saying. To first base, Abreu makes the pick, throws to second for 1, and that is a brilliant double play.
The toughest double play to make is one with 3 different people involved, where the third is the pitcher, because Jake Petrichka has to race to the bag, locate where the throw is coming from. In this case, it's Tim Anderson in the pivot, and then locate the baseball. So a hard hit ball. Jose makes just a great play and a good solid throw, and Jake is there to get the relay. And the fact that he might have been safe is just incidental, because it was beautiful, the rest of it.
So that means replay's out of effect because it was beautiful?
Yeah, at this point, just give the credit to Jose and
be done with it.
Yeah, really good play, and Tim Anderson came floating across the bag. Again, the toughest part is when you involve the pitcher, because it's so difficult to do what he did, locate where the ball is coming from and the bag at the same instant.
I kind of like that idea, though, of having like an awesome clause, right, where replay is out of service because the play was just so wonderful that you couldn't review it.
You could, yeah, that would be a technicality, certainly, but you never know. Rules change every year, and a lot of them are adopted, some of them are tweaked. That could be one. You know, think about that. Don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but it's nice to think about.
I felt so encouraged for a brief moment, and then the next sentence came. 2 strikes on Pilar, who wraps it just short. Anderson on target throw. The Sox infield with some spectacular defense. Abreu starts it. Anderson in stride, and Petrichka on the cover. 11-2 Sox.
3-game series. Coverage begins bright and early at 11:30 a.m. with Chicago White Sox pregame live. We got a new pitcher coming in the ball game. And he's the last in a succession of Pensmen. Danny Barnes comes in on for the 22nd time. His ERA a good one at 2.60. And the Blue Jays have a pretty solid bullpen top to bottom.
There's strike one to Frazier, and Toronto has made wholesale changes. Dwight Smith Jr. is into right field. Luke Maile is the catcher, and Ryan Goins replaces Donaldson at third. One of 4 players from the 35th round of 2010, Danny Barnes, to make it into the majors.
Done a nice job this year. I think they have some good arms in that pen. And it's all backed up by Ozuna, who is their closer, and boy, he's been absolutely magnificent. I believe a save in his last 13 appearances. So 17 for the season. And if they can get to that point, he will close it down.
That's not easy to do right there.
No, it's not. Unless you have super glue.
Strike 3 inside corner. Frazier is down on strikes and one away in his 9th. Question is, can Matt Davidson keep his home run streak alive? 4 games in a row with a homer.
Will be answered right here. He hit the ball hard enough the first time up, but no elevation, and a line drive double is his hit of the night.
He struck out the last 3 times up. Fastball strike, lower edge of the zone. If he homered here, it would tie a Sox record of a home run in 5 consecutive games. Checked his swing and a ball low. Davidson in the 2nd inning got ahead of Leone, and then Leone threw him 3 straight high fastballs to retire him, and there a changeup gets strike 2. Ball was up and he fouled it away.
Barnes got away with one there. Maile wanted that ball low and away, and Barnes had it sail up and on the inner portion of the plate. But Matt fouled it straight back. So we're looking again. That is a fastball, and he wants it up, but Barnes wants a slider.
It misses. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sox led in this game 4-0 after 1 inning. Now 11-2. Davidson hits it left center field. Pierce is over. The Xfinity Fundamentals deck overlooks left field and is accessible from all levels of guaranteed rate. Field space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and skill instruction from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches. While there, check out the latest Xfinity technology, including the X1 platform. X1 by Xfinity. It will change the way you experience TV.
So the home run streak is by the boards.
Unless.
Oh no.
You don't think? 9 straight could reach, Steve.
They could.
Tim Anderson first. Strike 1. Sox sent 8 batters up in the first, 4 runs. 8 batters up in the second, 3 more runs. Then tacked on an RBI with Alan Hansen in the third. And then Melky a 3-run homer in the fifth. Tomorrow's game, don't forget, Steve reminded you a little bit earlier. 12 o'clock start time. Mike Pelfrey, Marcus Stroman, your pitching matchup tomorrow. Then Shields versus Happ on Sunday.
Stroman's been very good, and Mike, fresh off a relief appearance, going to take the mound tomorrow.
You see what Pelfrey said when he came out of the bullpen? He felt a little bit stronger than usual because it was a relief appearance, and he said, holy smoke, after his first pitch sailed on him a little bit.
Well, it was his throw day, and used to happen a lot. Doesn't happen much anymore, but hopefully he'll benefit from that. He's running into an opponent who's 7-2. And Marcus Stroman, one of the better young pitchers around, has 2 complete games, which is very surprising.
One and two. Anderson swings through a changeup to retire the side. 1-2-3 inning for Barnes. Sox need 3 outs in this opener.
Our Miller moments, and it's easy to lose sight of the defense in an offensive onslaught, but the defense has been pretty good. Yomer up as high as he can go to take away a base hit. And then Melky comes on. They keep testing his arm, and he keeps cutting them down. Pierce done at the plate, and a line drive double play. Back to Jose, gets the double play and comes away with his life intact. Our Miller moments.
The offense was pretty good too. 11-2 your score. 3 outs to get for Jake Petrichka. He's hoping to save from anyone else needing to get loose in this game and make it a 1 bullpen arm night in the opener against Toronto.
This one was put away early. 4 in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the third, and for all intents and purposes, that was it, as Joe Biagini had a very tough outing, an inning plus, 7 runs on 8 hits.
Right off the jump, the Sox got to him. Single, walk, triple, the first 3 batters of this game. And there is strike 1 to Ryan Goins, who hits in Donaldson's spot. Then Dwight Smith Jr. will be next. Donaldson finishes 1 for 2 with a walk.
Ryan Goins is an excellent defender. The guy he's platooning with, Darwin Barney, has a Gold Glove, and Folks around here believe that Goins might be a touch better defensively.
Couldn't catch up to 96 from Jake, and one down in the ninth.
Good fastball. Some good late movement. No sink on it. That time he just reached back and got everything he had and threw it by Goins.
So one down for Dwight Smith Jr., whose father was a major leaguer. Played for the Cubs and Braves, among others.
That was a good hitter.
You got to see him play some, didn't you?
Yeah, he was. When Jerome Walton won the Rookie of the Year in the National League, Dwight Smith was voted second. And they both came up as young players.
And Jr. has a one-out single in this ninth inning. So Petrichka allows his first hit. Did walk a batter in the eighth. Got a double play that he was part of with that cover of first. And now Morales with the Sox a double play away from ending this game.
Hendry's the ideal man for two, by the way.
Oh, and 1.
Great power, not so much speed.
.33-year-old primary DH for the Blue Jays. 11 doubles, 14 home runs as he takes strike 2. On the ground. And there will only be one available here. Throw to second, safe. As Smith was thinking about third. 2 down as you take a look at what happened on the bases.
Yeah, Dwight Smith didn't see anybody covering third, thought about going there, and then realized that at 9 runs down, if you get thrown out to end the game, it doesn't bode well for future play.
Remember last year we saw the final out of a game in this ballpark come on Troy Tulowitzki getting hit with a batted ball. So here is Smoke. 2 strikeouts and a ground out tonight. And he's behind that fastball elevated, 0-1. Sox tomorrow will face one of the best ground ball pitchers in baseball, Marcus Stroman.
He's just flat out a really good pitcher. The only thing that's ever been able to stop him in his career has been injuries. When healthy, he's one of the better guys around. For a team that's under 500, he's 5 over.
.309 ERA for Stroman. The Sox brain trust. Smoke takes low, 2 balls and a strike.
Last year, Justin Smoke had a tendency to just go out. The game was moving very fast for him. He would, on changeups, just go swing at just about everything. And this year, he's waiting for the ball to come to him a lot more.
He has his lowest strikeout rate of his career by far this year, 17%. His lowest before this year was about 24%.
And that's a product of waiting back and watching the ball all the way in instead of going out and trying to get everything.
That's a foul ball left side, 3-2. I don't know who wins picks to click tonight. Just don't know. It's tough to choose.
Really?
Yeah, Hansen's been on 4 times. Abreu with 2 big hits early. Narvaez 3 out of 4.
And
I just think it's probably a tie.
And
in the air, well hit by Smoke. And 2 more for the Blue Jays. 19th home run for Smoke.
Gives you an idea how much power he has. Opposite field. He now has driven in 45. It is very nice to be in a position where a 9th inning 2-run homer has 0 effect on the ball game. Our forward home run replay. Smoke does what he's been doing all year. Waits back and then unloads. Big power from both sides of the plate. That's a 3rd Blue Jay home run.
Well, we warned you off the very top of the show that Justin Smoke may cause a problem, and he did this lovely evening north of the border. But too little too late, it seems.
If you're going to give him up, 9 runs up is a nice time to do it.
Was that your philosophy on the mound?
I wasn't in at this point of the game. I had been showered, shaved, driven home, came back for the post-game celebration, of course, because I never wanted to miss that.
You shaved after you pitched?
Oh, sure, because I grew a beard from the first to the 4th when I exited. No, actually, I occasionally went 6. So.
Occasionally went 9.
Occasionally.
2 balls and a strike on Tulowitzki. Sanchez, no sir.
Out of the many things that Ricky Renteria is wanting to do, one of the things he doesn't want to do is have to go to the bullpen. As this one back up the middle, Yolmer with the dive, and Ricky is going to indeed go to the bullpen because he wants to make sure that Jake does not give up too many here. There it is. Gregory Infante, who is loosening up, is coming in. So as Jake walks out and Gregory strolls in, we'll step out, be back after these messages. Two more here with the Blue Jays, and then a day off, and it's the Twins in Minneapolis for a 3-game series, and then it's home for the longest homestand of the year. Our Hyundai call to the pen is Gregory Infante. And we'll take a look at the way things have gone for him. He's on for the 16th time. His ERA up over 6. He's got 1 out to get, and he inherits a runner at first.
Russell Martin replaced by Maile here in the 9th. High fastball for strike one. So Martin finishes 0 for 3. And Maile down to his final strike. One and two, 2 down. Tipped foul. Maile stays alive.
Almost got him with the slider, but stayed alive at the last instant.
Sox led this game 7-0 after 1.5 and lead 11-4. 2 down, 1 ball, 2 strikes from Infante. And Maile prolongs the at-bat.
Good fastball in the outside corner. He's just able to stay alive.
Well, the fans are still engaged, it seems.
I would say that's pretty slick, using his cap and hoping that Aaron Sanchez comes back quick.
One of my close friends and a season ticket holder evidently made a similar catch at the game yesterday, and we did not even mention it. And so if he's sitting at home watching this game, he was texting me up a storm. He's watching this game right now. He's saying, well, what do I have to do?
Come to Toronto.
Good call. I'll tell him. Ball and 2 strikes on Maile. Up high. Final strike is all Infante needs. 2-2 on Maile. Fouled away again. This may be the best at bat of the night for the Blue Jays.
It's a good one, and why Tulowitzki is not just trotted into second, I'm not sure, because it keeps the force out in order the longer he stays at first, and because nobody is holding him close, he's not taking what's being given to him.
2-2. Inside 3-2. There's a chance that Tulowitzki's afraid of getting hit with the ball, and he doesn't want to be the 27th out again on the base path. Small chance. Three balls, 2 strikes. On the ground, second base, Sanchez, and the opener goes to the Sox. 11-4 your final score.
Jose Quintana gets win number 3. An offensive onslaught early, and it holds up as the boys kept on adding on runs after just a barrage early. And we'll take a look at Jose Quintana and how things went for him as he goes 7 strong innings. Gives up a couple of long balls, but had good command of everything tonight. So in a ballpark that he has been masterful his entire career, he remains just that here this evening. A great way to start off a road trip, and a great way to